Welcome back to It's Culture Podcast. My name is Mark, and I'm the host of It's Culture Podcast. Today, I think I'll take a break from just talking about, the usual people, the usual news stuff. And I was going to dive deep into something that has been making its way around the internet and got a lot of people talking about it. Some people call it the boogeyman, but I'm talking about Project 2025. It's been picking up steam over the last couple of months, especially in the media. Taraji B. Henson talked about it. So on the BET Awards. And now it's starting to show up everywhere. They're doing commercials about it. And it's really starting to scare people. So we're going to dive deep. Yes, I have went through and read all 900 pages of it. So we're going to talk about that tonight. But first, if you could do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell so you can get all the updates. And as I always say to everyone who is already subscribed, thank you so much. And I appreciate you coming back to keep rocking it with me and kicking it with me as I grow this channel. So what is Project 2025, y'all? It's a bunch of conservative policies. Every few years, the Heritage Foundation, they put out like a policy memo that they feel the next conservative president should do. They do this every single time. The Heritage Foundation is a think tank. We don't have any of those in the black community. We don't have no think tanks like this that put out policy memos. But this one does. And this one is their newest version of it. It's Project 2025. So to understand what's going on with Project 2025, like I said, it was launched by the Heritage Foundation back in like April of 2022. It's a transition plan for the next president designed to help them prepare to move in a conservative way as they feel needs to be done to save the country from all the liberal nonsense that they think they're talking about. Project 2025 has 4 pillars. All right. So we're going to break those down. So when you're looking at the policy guide, if you could download it, you can just Google it. I'll make sure I put a link to a Dropbox. I'll put the PDF in there so you can download it and read it for yourself. But more than 350 leading conservatives collaborated over this policy book, and it's called Mandate for Leadership. It kind of outlines the vision for conservative success at each federal agency during the next administration. So this book breaks down every single government agency that's out and what their role is in the next presidency for it to work. Now, it doesn't talk about Congress that much. This is really about the president and his cabinet and every agency that he oversees. So it's kind of interesting that they put this out because it kind of goes in and says that this is what needs to be done at every one of them. So think of this like a well-trained LinkedIn style database. It has a list of people who could particularly probably serve in this capacity in the next administration. A lot of these people that contributed to this were part of Trump's cabinet. And as we go through this, you'll see some of the names that you'll see that are familiar. So The Presidential Administration Academy is one of the pillars. They say training matters, right? So this academy is supposed to prepare a pool of candidates with skills needed to lead effectively in every single agency. It's supposed to like highlight like training sessions, like workshops, mentorship programs, all that, you name it. And then it's the first 180-day playbook. This is what happens in the first 180 days, right? This is what normally is the president's agenda. Whatever they do in the first 6 months is really what they're about, because the rest of it, they're going to be fighting and getting ready for another election and the midterms. So it's the first 180 days. So this is supposed to be like, as soon as the president comes in on day one, it's going to be, we hitting the ground running. This is how everything's going to operate. We just going to take this playbook and go with it. Now, I have to say that Trump did come out and on his Truth Social, his social media account, his own social media platform, I meant Truth Social, he came out and he disavowed and said that he didn't know anybody who was a part of this, and he read it, and some stuff is bad and the rest of it is really horrible, and he doesn't have anything to do with it. Because this book really, really goes into some things, especially when it gets to like some of the promises. It is extremely, as far as I'm concerned, it is extremely right-wing. I believe that it poses a threat to democracy and civil rights. I believe that even staunch conservatives probably look at this and like, yeah, this goes a little too far. Because it has a lot of sponsors. It's an advisory board. So whether, and this advisory board, we know these are some of the most conservative people. I don't even think it's conservatism because I think it goes very, very far right. And I would never, ever, ever want to see this ever be implemented into any type of government whatsoever. Now, I'm all for smaller government, clearing away a bunch of bureaucracy and a lot of red tape, get things done. I'm all for leaning out stuff. All right. I'm a project manager / Lean Six guy by trade. So I want to lean out stuff and make it as smooth as possible without destroying the integrity of what's supposed to be going on. But this book does go a little far. I'm going to show y'all the advisory board first. So this is the advisory board. You can see some of the people that's on it. Hopefully you all can see that. If not, I'm going to try to blow it up a little bit bigger because I don't want to take away the integrity of it, but I want y'all to be able to see it. Okay, there we go. I think you can see it right there. All right. So you got the Alabama Policy Institute. You see, keep going down. See some more. It's the Center for Family and Human Rights, the Center for Immigration Studies, First Liberty Institute, the Heritage Foundation, Coalition for Prosperous America, Institute for Women Forum, the Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America, Young America's Foundation, yada, 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 Patrick Henry College, James Madison Institute, Keystone Policy, Liberty University. So you see, it's the same usual suspects, the same little conservative think tanks that all get together all the time. They came together again. So this is the note. Say, we want you. The Presidential Transition Project is a conservative movement unified to be ready for the next conservative administration to govern at 12 noon January 20th, 2025. Welcome to the mission. All right. So it kind of goes through, and these are the pillars that we were talking about. So, like that first pillar, this volume, it puts in place a conservative view of how major federal agencies must be governed, and where disagreement exists brackets out of the differences for the next president to choose a platform. All right. So now, pillar 2 is the personal database that allows candidates to build their own professional profile and coalition members to review and voice their recommendations. These recommendations will then be collated and shared with the president-elect's team, greatly streamlining the appointment process. Okay. And then it's P3 is the Presidential Administration Academy, which I talked about. It's supposed to it's an online education system taught by experts from the coalition. They will be hosting in-person seminars with advanced training and set the bar for what is expected of a senior leadership. Okay. And then the playbook, which is agency teams being formed and, the transition plans being drafted to smooth out and be rolled out so the president can go to work as soon as he says, so help me God. All right. So that's what it is. You see that some of the authors of it, you can go through and read it and read up on these people, read some of their information. I would tell you it's a unique group of people. So it's a lot of people. All right. It's a lot of them. So then here are some of the contributors. And look at who's part of it. Look at, the contributors. These people work at universities and colleges and think like they think. People at College of Law and Republican Jewish Coalition, American First Legal, Equal Rights Institute. There's a lot of people that contributed to this. So let's get to these promises. And this is the part that got a lot of people spooked, right? Like I said, all the agencies, they kind of talk about some things. They trying to go back to this Ronald Reagan stuff. They love using Ronald Reagan for some reason. I guess he was the last great conservative president who basically ran drugs through the country while funding Contras. Took away all the trade schools and vocational programs in the inner city, and trickle-down economics crushed the manufacturing plants, destroying Black America at its whole core while ushering in crack cocaine and mass incarceration. But needless to say, that's their favorite president. So we look at it. We're going to go through here. I'm sorry, I was kind of scrolling. The very first one is this: restore the family at the centerpiece of American life and protect our children. They believe in the well-being of American families, right? The centralized political power is to subvert the family right now. That's the entire point of centralizing political power. Its purpose is to replace people's natural love and loyalties with unnatural ones. You've seen in the popular left-wing aphorism. The name real people give to things we do together is community, not government. There are mediating institutions that serve as a building block of a healthy society: marriage, family, work, church, school, volunteering. So those are the things that they think that we should be doing. We should be getting married. We should be having families. We should be working. We should be going to church. Kids should be in school, and we should be volunteering our time. That is what we're supposed to be doing as Americans. They said today the American family is in crisis. 40% of all children are born to unmarried mothers, including more than 70% of black children. I want y'all to see that part right there. Right there. First time you see black written, black children. They love highlighting this part, right? They love highlighting families. There's no government program that can replace the hole in the child's soul cut out by the absence of the father. Fatherlessness is one of the principal sources of American poverty, crime, mental illness, teen suicide, substance abuse, blah, 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 blah. All right. So if you've been paying attention to these conservatives that's been on the campaign trail, they've been talking about families and we want to replace the family. We believed in all that. No. Because there's nothing that you can do to restore the family. Like there's no policy you could put in place that can restore a family. Nor there's a policy that you put in place that can force somebody to get married. It's just ridiculous. But I will agree that a lot of the problems that are going on happen to be because kids are not growing up with both parents being actively involved in the house. I don't believe that you got to be married in order to be a great parent, if that makes sense. Because that's the case, then Trump should have been married 3-4 times, right? Because he got kids by a couple of different women. Kind of hard for him to kind of talk about American family when he got kids by different women. So many of the problems government programs are designed to solve, but can't. Now that's true. Government programs cannot stop abstinence in the house. But they said the conservative promise includes dozens of specific policies to accomplish the existential task. Federal power must instead be wielded to reverse the crisis and rescue American kids from familial breakdown. Some are obvious and long-standing goals like eliminating marriage penalties in federal welfare programs and tax codes and installing work requirements for food stamps. So they want to say, we're going to stop giving welfare programs just to single moms because it's stopping them. By having programs like this is stopping these women from getting married because they receive government assistance. So we want to stop that. In the tax code and install work requirements for food stamps. So they want people working. And this is just an attack on poor people. We're going to make them go to work. Okay. It's time for policy to elevate family authority, formation, and cohesion as their top priority, and even use government power, including through the tax code, to restore the American family. So the only thing they're saying is, hey, if you get married, we're going to reduce your taxes. They're saying that the left is threatening the taxes and status of churches and charities that reject woke progressivism. They will soon turn to Christian schools and clubs with the same totalitarian intent. So this idea is they say it's all wokeness. The next conservative president must make institutions of American civil society hard to target for woke culture warriors. This starts with deleting the terms like sexual orientation and gender identity, diversity, equity, and inclusion, gender equality, gender equity, gender awareness, gender sensitive, abortion, reproductive health, reproductive rights, any other term used to deprive Americans of their First Amendment rights out of every federal rule, agency regulation, contract, grant, regulation, and piece of legislation that exists. So that is the first one. That's what got a lot of people up in arms, right? They want to do away with what they consider SOGI, sexual orientation and gender identity. Anything dealing with anything. They want to do away with it. They want to do away with it. So it looks like they're targeting transgenderism. It looks like they're about to target it. So we gonna keep going. Okay, they talk about gender identity, what you identify as. They want to get rid of all those terms. We're not teaching that in schools. We're not teaching that anywhere, and we're not going to be promoting that in the federal government anywhere. They want to do away with diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. They want to do away with reproductive health. That term. They want to do away with reproductive rights. That term. And the others used to deprive the Americans of their First Amendment rights. Now, some people argue what is reproductive rights? Where in the Constitution is reproductive rights written? It's not. So it's kind of like something that's kind of implied, right? But it's not written in. And a lot of people are arguing at the fact that there is no such thing as reproductive rights. So it's very, very interesting that they actually have that in there, because they're basically saying that there's no, having an abortion is a privilege. It's not a right. Pornography, manifested today in the omnipresent propagation of transgender ideology and sexualization of children, for instance, is not a political Gordian knot, inexplicably binding up disparate claims about free speech, property rights, sexual liberation, and child welfare. It has no claim to the First Amendment protection. So they're basically saying porn, all this stuff that y'all are doing is not protected by the First Amendment. It's saying that the people who look at this stuff are child predators and they're misogynistic exploiters of women. That people who like porn like to, or exploit women, they're child predators. Their product is as addictive as an illicit drug and is psychologically destructive as any crime. They want it outlawed. They want porn outlawed. And they said anybody who talks about it, any educator, public librarian who watches porn, should be classified as a registered sex offender. Extreme. And telecommunication and technology firms that facilitate its spread should be shuttered. So places like social media, X. It's a lot of porn on X. I guess they're going to be coming after that. Instagram, even though it's not nudity, like we banning all this. We're getting rid of it. It's not of God. And it's not protected by the First Amendment. All right. We'll keep going. In our schools, the question of parental authority over the child's education is a simple one. Schools serve parents, not the other way around. I'm always shocked when I see this show up in policy proposals. It's basically the idea that the parents, we should be telling the schools what to teach our kids, and we should have authority over what they're learning. So it's like a way to just basically destroy the Department of Education. That, of course, is the best argument for universal school choice. So they saying, hey, you should be able to go to whatever school you want to go to. Shouldn't matter. All goals are conservative, and conservative presidents must pursue. A goal all conservatives and conservative presidents must pursue. Universal school choice. But even before we achieve the long-term goal, parental rights as the child primary educator should be non-negotiable. So the parent is the primary educator. I don't really disagree with that. I think the kids learn first from their parents, and then they go to school and get things that's going to make them productive in society. State, cities, and county school boards, union bosses, principals who disagree shall be immediately cut off from federal funds. If you don't agree that the parents should be in charge of what their kids are learning, then you don't get no federal funds. The nauseous tenets of critical race theory and gender ideology should be excised from curricula in every public school in the country. Notice now, every public school in the country. Critical race theory. And it's funny they keep this critical race theory thing, this whole idea that only gets taught to law students, somehow or another is making its way to high school. Gender ideology should be exercised, you know what I'm saying? They want that gone, gender ideology. So we're not learning about bodies no more. I guess they don't want to learn about that. I guess we're supposed to be going to Christian schools to, and women are supposed to be going back to learning how to just be housewives, I guess. The theories poison our children who are being taught on one hand to affirm that their color of their skin fundamentally determines their identity and even their moral status, while on the other they're taught to deny the very creative list that inheres in being human and consists in assisting the givenness of our nature as men or women. Now, they've been tackling this for a minute. This whole notion that somehow or another white kids are being taught that because they're white, they're inherently a racist. I don't know where they get this from. I guess it's part of critical race theory. But that's the part they're like, oh yeah, little Johnny's at school being told that because he's white, he's a racist and it's making him feel bad. Nobody's being taught that. But this is them attacking this again because they don't want to deal with race. If you know anything about these far right conservatives, the one thing that they don't want to talk about is race. They want to act like racism is just a figment of imagination, and that somehow or another they are the ones that are being oppressed in the country. Their voices are being oppressed. Their fundamental freedoms that the Constitution gives them is being infringed upon every single day because we're talking about critical race theory and gender ideology. This is what they say. Allowing parents or physicians to reassign the sex of a minor is child abuse. So, in one hand, now I want you to understand. So this is kind of like this is kind of hypocritical, right? Because 2 paragraphs above that one, they say that the parent is supposed to be the primary educator, and that every school needs to get on board with that. But then they come down, they did say that the parent is not allowed to reassign the gender because that's child abuse. For public institutions to use taxpayer dollars to declare the superiority or the inferiority of certain races, sexes, and religions is a violation of the Constitution and civil rights law and cannot be tolerated by any government anywhere in the country. I don't know what public institution is using to declare superiority or inferiority of a certain race. Like, nobody, I don't know where they get that from, but but the pro-family promises expressed in this book and essential to the next conservative president agenda must go further than the traditional narrow definition of family issues. It says, consider our approach to big tech. The worst of these companies prey on children like drug dealers to get them to addicted to their mobile apps. Many Silicon Valley executives famously don't let their own kids have smartphones. Nevertheless, they make billions of dollars addicting other people's children to their TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and every other digital platform designed to create digital dependencies that fuel mental illness, anxiety, to fray children's bond with their parents and siblings. Federal policy cannot allow this individual scale child abuse to continue. So they want to do away with children being able to access and have access to smartphones and have access to these apps. Now, I don't know how they plan on doing this. I don't know if they plan on just destroying all these social media companies altogether and just rebuilding them, and then what they're gonna do to stop people from having smartphones because everybody has them. But for some reason, they believe that kids are on the phones too much, and they're not listening to their parents. They're being conditioned to believe that they're this ideology or they're inferior. Like, I don't think anybody is being raised to think that they're inferior to anybody. But this is their talking points, right? This is what they're saying. Finally, conservatives should gratefully celebrate the greatest pro-family win in our generation, overturning Roe v. Wade, a decision that for 5 decades made a mockery of our Constitution and facilitated the deaths of tens of millions of unborn children. They've been on this one too. Abortion is their thing. They don't want women aborting babies, and there's a reason for this too. So it's not the fact that they just hate women having aborting babies, because some of them have paid for them. What it is the last census showed that there's a decline in the white race. For the first time, they are dying more than procreate. That's because they're not having babies like that no more. So the whole idea of family creates more babies. This is not something that we as black folks should be even entertaining. But because the whole idea of this, you get your family together, da 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 da. No, this is a smoke signal, because white women are aborting babies in record numbers right now, and they're trying to stop this, because the more babies that get aborted, the less that they have left. And if you're looking at how races are intermixing, it's going to be it's going to be very, very melanated here in a few more years. And they feel like they're being, I guess, wiped away in a sense. So that's the first part, the first promise. The second promise is dismantle the administrative state and return self-governance to the American people. They really believe that it's time to destroy Congress and rebuild it. They want to, like I said, shrink government. Consider the federal budget right now. Under current law, Congress is required to pass a budget and a 12-issue specific spending bill comporting with it every single year. The last time Congress did so was in 1996. Congress no longer meaningfully budgets, authorizes, or categorizes spending. So they said 1996 was the last time they actually did a federal budget. Now what they do is they do a lot of amendments. Debate time is restricted. Amendments are prohibited. They do these ominous stuff where they just run a bill over and then wait till it's shut down. This process is not designed to empower 330 million Americans, right? So they're saying that these party leaders are negotiating one multi-trillion-dollar spending bill, several thousands of pages, and then they vote on it before it can read it. They're saying they don't want to do that no more. They want the bills broken down individually, so that way they can vote on each one of them instead of these big omnibus spending packages and throw it out there and say, this is how much we're going to spend for the year. And they continue down this road of trying to go back and saying what the framers meant when they separated the powers. They said that a combination of elected and unelected bureaucrats at the EPA quietly strangled domestic energy production through difficult to understand rulemaking processes. These bureaucrats, okay, I guess these are the people who have been appointed by, who have power to, these are like the gatekeepers, I guess. So All these people who create all these things. So this is what they are saying the bureaucrats are doing. Okay. So they're saying bureaucrats at the Homeland Security, following the lead of a feckless administration, opened the border and immigration enforcement agencies to help migrants criminally enter our country with impunity. Now, something is going on because we do have a lot of migrants coming into this country illegally right now. We can just call it what it is. There's no reason to try to make it anything else. All this undocumented, these people are here illegally. We can call a spade a spade. We can be grown-ups about it. But somehow or another, they're getting in the country, and it don't seem like Department of Homeland Security is doing anything about it. So somebody's allowing these people in the country. They're saying that the Department of Education has injected racist, anti-American, ahistorical propaganda into American classrooms. I still don't understand what they mean by that. I guess is, they don't like the way things are being taught. Maybe they want to go back to the way that the Moms for Liberty want to do, or they want to go back to, the Lily White movement, when they started injecting all these false narratives about how this country was built and how it was founded and who founded it, all these things, trying to make it seem like it was so great that the Pilgrims came here, like all those things. We did away with all that because all that stuff was ahistorical propaganda. Bureaucrats at the Department of Justice force school districts to undermine school sports and parents' rights to satisfy transgender extremists. They don't want transgenders. They don't want transgender boys. Those who were, transgender girls. Those who were men who have transitioned into womanhood. They don't want them playing women's sports. Woke bureaucrats at the Pentagon forced troops to attend training seminars about white privilege. And bureaucrats at the State Department infuse U.S. foreign aid programs with woke extremism about intersectionality and abortion. So they're saying that the military is teaching white privilege, and they're also saying that foreign aid programs across have taught women overseas about intersectionality and abortion. Okay. So these are some of the things that they're talking about in here. If you see, this is absolutely crazy. And any person who would even step to this as would just be going down a complete and utter death spiral as far as a presidency. Cause this is just some of the worst crap that you could ever think of. A lot of this would be challenged in courts. It would never get implemented because it would always be in the courts. Defend our nation's sovereignty, borders, and bounty against global threats. They want to secure the border. That's really what this is saying. They blame the left for open borders, and the humanitarian crisis, which is crazy because none of these presidents, not none of them, immigration and abortion are two policies that no matter who the president is, they always end up being mentioned, as well as guns, abortion. Oh my God, I just totally forgot what I just said. Oh my goodness, it's a Sunday. Pardon my head. But yeah, it's always these things. Is these we continue on to talk about the Chinese, big tech. I'm sorry, y'all. I totally lost focus with what I was discussing. Let me go back up so I can catch my thoughts again. Let me see, where were we at? Oh yeah, we were talking about the policies. Oh, immigration, abortion, and guns. Immigration, abortion, and guns. That's what I was talking about. Now I caught myself. Those are the three things that always come up in every presidency. They're never going to tackle guns. They're never going to tackle abortion, and they're never going to tackle immigration because it works both ways. Everybody benefits from these people coming in, undermining American workers. So they want to blame China, say they got spy technology, spying on our people. They say they stole our technology, and threaten our allies, $1 trillion of wealth and military power, finance, the access to the market. So they're going after China. They want to ban TikTok. So they continue on with the TikTok thing, and the TikTok ban really didn't go anywhere. It kind of stayed there. It's kind of, I guess they're gonna try to crank it back up. But with any policy, it only has a couple of more months before it dies anyway, and then, they got until September 30th to do something with it, or it dies. So, promise to secure our God-given individual right to enjoy the blessings of liberty is the last one. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? They want inalienable rights. They think that the pursuit of good life is primarily in family, marriage, and children. So that's what they want to focus on in this promise. They say the president should not be proud. The next conservative president should be proud, not ashamed of American unique culture of social equality and ordered liberty. They said the promise of socialism, communism, Marxism, progressivism, fascism, whatever you name it, choose it. It's simple. Government control over the economy can ensure equal outcomes for all people. The problem is that this never done so. There's no such thing as the government. They're just people who work for the government and wield its power and all against every opportunity. So they're saying that there ain't no such thing as the government. They're just people who work there that are doing things that they want to do just lawlessly. And they just create these laws to do whatever they want to do, infringing upon your rights as a person. So they want to do away with that. So those are the promises. But it's unique to who they're talking about. This is just the forward. This is what most people pay attention to, because the policy memos, when you go into it, are very, very. This one is about the agencies. One in particular, Ben Carson wrote the forward. Well, he didn't write the forward. He actually wrote the policy memos for HUD. And I thought it was kind of unique that he wrote the ones for HUD, considering he's the former HUD secretary. And under him, HUD was a complete failure. But here he is writing policy memos as if, hey, this is what we need to do in order to do this. The one good thing about one of the policy memos that he actually got that I actually do like is looking at how many foreign people or foreign companies have bought property in the United States that's driving the housing market up. I'm a firm believer in corporations should not be able to get into the housing market. You shouldn't be able to do that. Everybody should be able to buy a home, and the way that these housing markets are, people are buying them and just selling them right back and jacking the prices up, is really, really putting American families in jeopardy. So, but if you go through the policy memos, those, like I said, that's what people focus on. You saw the gist of it. Do away with DE&I. Do away with everything dealing with gender. They want to ban pornography. They want to dismantle anything dealing with critical race theory. It's the same talking points that they have been using over and over again Um, and if you've heard a conservative talk, you've heard these things. This is what they've been doing. The problem is that it takes a lot to get these policies implemented, and it'll take a difference to get them implemented. It's gonna take a lot to get them implemented because a lot of this stuff will come under challenge. But that's why they're tackling the federal agencies with the president, because the president controls those. So he can write and say, "This is what y'all gonna do. We're doing away with all this," and that doesn't involve having to do anything with Congress. This is all about what the president can do within the federal agencies. So if the federal agencies are not doing this, then it's not going anywhere, because pretty much they're saying, "Hey, we don't need to use Congress besides nothing but talking about bills that involve spending." But the president himself, through his power, can yield it at all of these agencies and departments that fall upon him and direct them to do this. And that will reshape America. So, y'all let me know what y'all think. As far as I'm concerned, I don't see this getting done by anybody. This is the whole pages goes through. It really, really, really tackles those core objectives in every single agency. It just kind of like wash, rinse, and repeat. They talk about border security, increasing homeland security agents. But anything dealing with race, anything dealing with gender, they want to do away with it. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to discuss it. They just want to, I guess they want to go pre-civil rights generation in their resolve. And they also look like they just want to go back to women not being able to have autonomy over their bodies. So, y'all let me know what you think. Like I said, the PDF will be in the description, and you can go download and read it for yourself. Thank you for watching. Let's keep it coaching.